Good morning, everyone. Good to see you guys jumping on right now. There's Sean, Harami, Allison, Jorawa. Good morning to you guys and whoever the Facebook user is. Good morning, Stephen. Hey, if you're new, give us a shout out, say new, and let us know where you're dialing in from. Great to have a bunch of you guys on this morning. There's Mark. Good to see all of you guys here. Welcome to another Wealth Coffee Chat, Monday, 18th of October. Hopefully you had a good weekend, crew. For those who don't know me, maybe if you're new, just a quick intro. Jason Witten's my name, and been property investing over 20 years, helping property investors across Australia and New Zealand over 18 build their property portfolios, and along the way, helped people do a few deals and done a couple myself. And we have a few things that we get together each morning, Monday to Friday, most weeks, other than holidays and bits and pieces. And we share a little bit of that wisdom with you guys. We have our mentoring and coaching program, and we have a few people joining us here or there. So there you go. Oh, Allison, awesome. Yes, Haley, what a legend. She's her and her partner, amazing people. Haley ended up coming to work for us at Positive, and she's part of the team now. If you haven't already, grab that one. Allison's talking about a podcast that we are now interviewing our clients and also our own team who are avid property investors, as you would expect. And it's called Property Investor Tales. And Haley, one of the team, young person, only I think 25, 26 now, maybe even 27, maybe 4 properties in 4 years. And yeah, impressive indeed. So yeah, good shout out, Allison. Jeff, good morning to you. And there we go. So today I wanted to talk to you about something that Sam mentioned the other day about the idea of our first million. Our first million of wealth is the hardest million because the compounding wealth after that, it becomes easier. But I thought I would sort of circle around on this one because Sam mentioned it the other day on Wealth, Wine and Wisdom. Unfortunately, Andy had a migraine, team, literally knocked him for 6. So he's feeling better now, but that's why we had Sam as a guest on Wealth, Wine and Wisdom the other day. But, let's have a bit of a look at what we were going to sort of talk about and touch base on today, which is the idea of, creating wealth. We talk about it all the time, over time, the idea that property investing is a marathon, not a sprint. It takes time to create wealth and get wealthy, but what we haven't talked about much is the compounding effect of your patience, the compounding effect of your investment of time into your assets over, 5, 10, 15, 20 years is where the real power comes from your portfolio. And the challenge, unfortunately, over time, I've sat with a lot of people who've started this journey and they give up. They fall prey to, strange things, whatever they may be. And, for all of us in this journey right now, creating wealth, we need to understand some realities of the process and some practicalities of the process. But let's have a quick look at this. Investing, it makes sense. Like we're not splitting the atom here, or maybe we are when we talk about, if you earn some money, we should be putting it towards some wealth in the future. So tell me in the chat right now, team, as a percentage of your earnings, if you are PAYG or whatever it is, as a percentage of the money you earn, how much should we be putting towards our future wealth? Our future wealth, okay? How much should be invested and start compounding into the future towards your future wealth if you want to end up with a reasonable outcome? Now, we've talked about this in property terms, but it's a minimum of $3 million worth of income-producing assets, creating some cash flow into the future. A minimum, all right, as we go. 50%, 35%, 30%, 20%, half of it. If you can adjust your lifestyle to the idea of half, between 30 and 50% of your earned income into your future, then that is how you will get to this $3 million portion as we go. The challenge is, team, the way we set our lives up in one way, shape, or form doesn't facilitate that. We've talked about this before. And it depends on how you're using the wealth that you have. Let me just skip over here and I'll just quickly show a little example of what I mean by this. So you guys may have seen this before: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And let's just quickly do a revision of this. If you're sitting there right now and today is Monday, we're getting up and going to work. And let's say I'll just adjust this here so we can sort of see it a bit. Let's say $100,000 income. That's not very good. I'll put it down here. All right, well, let's do this. $100,000 income. And good morning to whoever's give us a shout out. It says Facebook user on the chat here, gang. If you're dialing in from one of the groups or whatever it is, unfortunately, it's some weird thing. If inside the private groups, I can't see your name, which is a bit of a bummer. But good morning to all of you if you're giving me a shout out. Joel, how are you, brother? Good to see you, man. So there you go. So some of you already have seen this one before, but it's so important to understand because we wake up, we're going to work today, okay? And get involved if you want to with this one. Who takes Monday? Who gets a bit of the money on Monday? Do you think you go to work today and it's yours? Well, if you're earning 100K, the ATO puts their grotty little hand out and takes all of Monday, and up until about maybe lunchtime tomorrow on $100,000, they're going to take all the cash, all the money. Yeah, the tax man. That's it, Brendan. You guys have seen this one before, right? Now, if we go over here and we say, all right, well, what else goes on? I'm including this, all right? Super comes out next. Okay, it's not your money, and unless you're managing that yourself for your wealth and your future, well, you guys know how I feel about that. We should all be managing our wealth as we go. Super is onto it, Allison. And then for most people, let's say the regular Straighty 180 person, we might have a mortgage, our owner-occupier home. And the average mortgage in Australia consumes around about 30% of someone's after-tax income, okay? 30% of after-tax income. And then, team, what else? What's the kicker over here? Credit cards, all right? Credit cards, bad debt, etc. And then we're left, sadly, most people are left with, if they're lucky, Friday to create something out of. And, you know, if you do the mathematics here, you've only got 20% of your week left over, okay? 20% of your week left over to live on. And what's going on there? So 25% is already taken by the ATO. ATO has 25%, all right? Super takes 10%, 9.5, it's going up. You're already at 35%. Another 30% for your mortgage, all right? You need to get rid of these credit cards, bad debt, those sorts of things. You guys have seen this before. I'm not diving too much into it today. So when we're talking about 30 to 50%, where do we get it from? Where do we do this from, okay? And this is the smart part. This is the smart part. You guys in the mentoring program know this. What we do, super, 10%, it's compulsory. We make sure we understand what it's getting invested in. So then we go tick, 10%. Your tax that you're paying as a property investor, you can augment that money into your future wealth. You guys know this. If you purchase a brand new home, right, and if that's $600,000, you will get back real cash out of your tax, anywhere between $6,000 and $8,000 of your tax back. So if you're paying $25,000 to the government and they're going to give you $8,000 real cash back, you do the math, team. 4 new properties basically gets your tax to sub 5%. All right, so let's look at that. We've got 10% for super. If you've got 4 properties, you've got 20% cash back from your tax. We're at 30. Now, the big kicker here is your mortgage at 30%. And here's the drill. Most people are sitting there paying their mortgages off, and they've got all of this wealth doing very little, not creating any income. It's not tax deductible. Imagine of that 30% of that payment, you can free up another 10% to 20% of that value in your mortgage, in your owner-occupier home. Imagine you can free that up to then go create some more wealth, add another 10 to 20% on your future wealth creation from your existing equity. That's how, team, we get to that magic number for most of you talked about just there on the chat, 30 to 50%. That's how, if we have a think about what we have, our effectiveness of the money we have already, how do we make it more effective for our future? 30 to 50% of our money that we earn should be going towards your future wealth. All right? It seems like a lot, doesn't it? But when you put it that way, when we put it that way together, it's not that much, all right? It's about making the most of what you have already as you go. Yep, and Michelle, Afterpay, credit cards, consumer debt, those things really destroy your ability to create future wealth, okay? They're toxic. I call them the crack cocaine of your money problems. Okay, you got to get off that gear, okay, as we go. So let's have a look at this concept that Sam brought up the other day about the compounding effect. Yeah, children, they're expensive, aren't they, kids? Little buggers, all right? Yeah, anyway. Everyone says, oh, you should plan to have kids and those sorts of stuff. So it's a funny one, isn't it? It's a funny one. Anyway, I've got 3. You got to every time you have a kid, you got to work a bit harder. I think, Alison, you think of this. You were talking about Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 1 property per week or day of the week. Every time you have a kid, you need an extra property. You need an extra property to make it work. Yeah. Anyway, there you go. But listen, team, the idea to make our first million, right? If we say, all right, well, from scratch, from zero, let's say it takes us, let's say you buy a property and let's say it takes, I don't know, call it 10 years. That's probably it takes 10 years for your first million to occur or your first value to occur. The challenge for most people, there you go, $1 million, right? 1. Now that to go from 0 to 1 million is, I don't even know the percentages. It must be, gazillion or whatever, 1,000,000% or something. But the increase in your wealth, has to climb, a rather steep hill, right? A rather steep hill. Now, to go from 1 million, let's say, to 2 million, now I'm not going to, I need to redo my scale here. All right, 1 million. And then if we go from 1 million to 2 million, what does it have to do? It has to double, right? It has to times 2. But to go to 3 million, it only has to go up another 50%. I'm not doing that properly. Let's do this. All right, has to go up 100% to go from 1 million to 2 million. But then to go to 3 million, it's only got to go up 50%, your wealth, right? And let's look at this. If you're to go to 4 million, that's a 4, and that's a pretty skinny one. It's only got to go up 25%, okay? So hopefully you're getting the picture there. What I'm trying to communicate is the process. Once you get that first bit of momentum in your wealth, that's the hardest part, that 100% hardest part between the first and second million, right? Because then between the second and third and the third and the fourth, from a wealth point of view, a value point of view, it's actually far simpler, far easier. Sam was having a chat with a client just the other day. So they've got a $10 million portfolio, and their portfolio made $1 million in the last 9 months. All right. And it only had to go up 10% to make $1 million. Okay. Not to mention the rent and other bits and pieces. So my point that I'm trying to make is this part here, the first 1 to 3 million, is where the effort has to come from. The effort to get to that point. It's the hard yards, team. All right. And why? What happens in my experience? I'm going to sort of rub a bit of this off so we can get this done. In my experience, sitting down with thousands and thousands of people, literally thousands of people, eyeballing, looking across the table and saying, all right, well, we're going to start an investment portfolio. Tell me a little bit about where you're at and what you understand. There's 3 things. Jared, the compounding process, Jared, is not restricted by leverage or not. So, you could have finance on it. You could have it debt free. The concept of the value going up has no correlation with the debt. However, the income created, Jared, if you're debt free, you've got a better margin, etc., etc. So the concept is your total wealth compounding. Okay, but good question. Thank you. 3 reasons I see people fail, and I've seen people fail with this wealth building process. Number 1, completely unrealistic expectations of real estate. It's like, property doubles every 7 to 10 years. Bullshit. Rubbish. Complete and utter rubbish. Okay? So this doubling process, right? It's a 15 to 20 year journey, team. Okay? And maybe some of your properties won't even do that. Okay? I've got properties that haven't doubled in value yet, and I've owned them over 15 years. Am I crying in the corner of my soup? No, they're quite good. Some of them have got a little bit better cash flow. Some of them have got some future potential. Whatever it might mean, that's not the reason you buy the properties, okay? What else is unrealistic? That you get cash flow from properties in the early stages. No. In the first 10 or 15 years, do not expect any cash flow from your real estate. You should be investing in the real estate. It's false. Certainly residential, buy and hold, buy well, do not sell wealth creation is not about creating the income within the first 10 years. It's about acquisition of the asset, right? So income. It's not practical. It's unrealistic. The speed at which things happen, you don't have a practical understanding of the actual real time frames, etc. So this is the challenge. So we sort of go into something with kind of, oh wow, this is going to all happen in 3 years, and it doesn't happen. And then they're like, oh, I'll give up. This doesn't work. Property's no good. Sam and I are having chats with people who are selling their properties in Brisbane right now. Selling their properties in Brisbane right now because they said, oh, it hasn't done anything for 5 years. We're like, yeah, that's normal. What's wrong with you? What? It's like we've got the biggest boom we've seen in a gazillion years, this convergence of 3 or 4 things that are going crazy. And because it hasn't gone up in 5 years' time, and a local real estate agent is telling you all sorts of rubbish, you want to sell your property. Like, wake up and smell the roses. Anyway, sometimes I get a bit frustrated by that. DIY, do it yourself. Oh, I know boats. I read a book, and I went to a seminar, and it's all good. I can knock it out of the park. And I joined a Facebook group, and, I'll ask 7,000 maniacs. I'll ask 7,000 maniacs how to invest and then try and interpret 25 different comments to see what's right for me. I think that's crazy. But, at the end of the day, it's a great place to start. But if you want to get 4, 5, 6, 8, 10 properties in the shortest period of time, structured in the most efficient way for wealth, DIY is not going to cut it. Team, like the wealthy people don't kick around going, oh, I don't need a good accountant. Oh, I don't need a good finance broker. Oh, I don't need a good wealth advisor. Oh, I don't need a good, property manager. Are you serious? You want to get wealthy, but your DIY and backyard? Come on now, team. Like, this is kind of a grown-up chat. That's not the way it rolls. That's not the way it works. If you want proper wealth, you want to do it correctly, you got to find the right team. You guys know about this. I call it the 6-star team. 6-star team, you got to know those people are in your corner. And last but not least, they don't have a community of people who are on the same journey. Okay? And for most of you guys on the call this morning, you're in the mentoring program, and you've got a number of people who are on the same journey with you, going through similar things, keeping each other supported as we go along. Those are the 3 things that I see people give up with, sadly, because they have unrealistic expectations. They get stuck in this DIY, cheaper mindset, and it's not what the wealthy do. And they don't have the right community of people around them on the same journey with the same ideas to support them through challenging times. There's always going to be weird and wonderful things go on in the world of economics, and we need to make sure we get through that with flying colours. Anyway, I think, well, that's it, man. It's 8:32, and I'm done and dusted. Wealth Coffee Chat done. I got to go take my son to school. And I'm 2 minutes late. I've been rabbiting on. Yeah, exactly, Alison. People who don't even invest go, oh, be careful. Like they've never even made a decision in their life. If you listen to fools, you end up with 2 fools. At the end of the day, you've got to find the right people who are going to support you in the journey. Now, that does take some time, and it, it does take a bit to get it right. So I don't say that lightly. But if you're listening in and you're not there yet, then keep looking and start learning and asking questions and educating yourself on that sort of stuff. So, all right, team, that's it from me. Wealth Coffee Chat done this morning. Hopefully that was useful. I thought that was a really good comment from Sam on Wealth, Wine and Wisdom the other day on Friday afternoon about that sort of the first million's the hardest, and then compounding over time becomes easier and easier. There was a bunch of questions there, gang, so I will, Brendan, I'll circle around on a few of those, and Jared, and maybe make a bit of a Wealth Coffee Chat out of them maybe this week. So, all right, you guys, that's it. I'm done. I better go take the young fella to school. You guys be good. Stay well wherever you are. Until tomorrow, take care.